Hey, what's going on? Ryan here, setthepacetriathlon.com. Today we're going to review some shoes that I've been working with to see if we can answer the age-old question: do carbon plate shoes make you faster? Are they worth the money? So if you've watched my YouTube channel, I think I posted on Facebook a little bit here and there. I've been working on the Brooks Hyperion Elite 3. So I found a deal on these. They're now up to version 4, but version 3 was very reduced price, at least half off. So I thought I would venture a go and got myself a nice pair of carbon plated shoes. So if you saw the videos, I did a few runs, and you see in the background I did a recent half marathon with them, and it was a great day for half marathon. So that being outside of everything else, I didn't have to worry about weather being a problem in taking out on race day. So you can see in the background here, I did a few runs with them. The longer runs were indoors on the treadmill. That's kind of the way I run things these days. I do a longer portion. I take the dogs out to kind of finish up my run. They definitely cannot be doing 13, 14 milers or anything like that. But you can see in the background, did a 13 miler, 4 mile outside, 10 miles inside, 3 miles outside, treadmill. So the 13.2 is actually the half marathon I ran, Rockford Parkway here in Kansas City. Like I said, perfect day. I've run that race several times. I think if we look at the medal, been around for 15 years. I've done it one shape or form all 15 years, either it's 10K, 5K, half marathon, or something like that. So I've had a little bit of experience. I've done this race before, so I kind of know what my times are, kind of know what to expect based on my training. So the answer to the age-old question: did these suckers go out? Did I just go out and kill it with these shoes, or was it worth the money, or was it worth bringing them in and trying them out? So let's dig into it, and we'll kind of find out. So, like I said, I got them kind of early. As you can see from the activities I have in Garmin, I had them for about a month of breaking in. I wanted some miles on them before I actually went out and ran with them. So a few things I noticed. So as you can see, I had to replace the shoelaces. I used what is out there, Hickeys, which they're really nice. They work really well. I'll kind of give them a props here. But as we'll see, the shoelaces are kind of cool, and I think I actually had this in my shorts video. But you'll see they got little ridges on them. So when you tie them, they lock in pretty tight. Problem is, I could not find a good spot to tie them to where they weren't tight enough in some areas and loose enough in other areas. So I actually had to swap out the laces. So what you'll see with the Hickeys is I did have to do a little bit minor adjusting kind of mid-foot because it was just too tight. I was going out, I was running. If I did them all the normal way of just looping them through and sticking them in once, it was too tight. The balls of my feet and kind of the side right there before the joints, they were just screaming. It was very uncomfortable and not very comfortable to run at all. I thought the shoes just didn't work for me. When actuality, all I had to do was change out the laces and then change the style here kind of midway through. They have different ways you can loop them through and kind of loosen them up mid-shoe. So I did that right before the run, right before the half marathon, and actually it felt pretty good in that regard. I will say, so some of the shoes are different. I'm actually going to do a couple other shoes, and what you can see inside, they have a separate tongue. Some shoes don't have a separate tongue, so I'm going to go look through. I've got some Hokas that I'm working on right now, that they are actually kind of one complete upper area, upper midsole, and it's just kind of one shoe. It doesn't have a separate tongue kind of like this. So I don't mind necessarily, but if you look inside, it kind of separates on one side and then it's kind of sewn in on the other side. So you just kind of pay attention to that. The other problem with the shoes of when I use the laces, I don't go to the full ends of the shoe. Even when I didn't go that far, I could not get the shoe off and on. So if you're looking for the triathlon world, you're trying to get these shoes on fast and you don't want to have to tie the shoes and retie them, all that kind of fun stuff in transition, the original shoelaces wouldn't have worked well for me. So what I liked was I could use the Hickeys, and actually I could pull the shoe on and off pretty comfortably. It was actually not that much of a problem. So I did like them in that regard of changing the shoelaces out, made it more convenient to kind of pull on and off. And when I'm doing my runs in the morning or something in the basement, you're tired, you're groggy, you don't want to have to mess with shoelaces, slide them on, you start running. But problem was, a lot of my shoes these days, I run in sockless. It doesn't really cause me a problem. I've got enough calluses built up over time that it's not really an issue. However, with these, it immediately blistered up my arch of my foot, right foot specifically. So first few runs were kind of uncomfortable. So these I definitely need to be in socks. Unfortunately, there's just too much going on. There's you see that little label in there kind of rubbing in a bad spot. But as long as you put socks on, really not a problem. I really didn't have any issues at all. So if you look at the shoes, they are super light compared to other shoes that I've worn. I mean, very light, very airy. It didn't really feel heavy at all when I was wearing them. It was really comfortable, so I was running along comfort-wise. It was not a problem. Now, if you look, you can't do this with your regular shoes. Regular shoes, you're just going to bend over and without a problem. But these, I mean, you know, here, let's do the other. Well, for those of you, I'm not a pro at flipping my shoes, but these soles, I mean, they respond. When I put them on, you do note a difference. I have had carbon shoes, used them in the past. You do notice a difference. It's a little bit more of a kind of a rocker plate. The middle, it feels like you're kind of a little bit on a tilt. So not only the carbon plate in there, but it also changes the profile of the sole of the shoe. So you're contacting at a different point. I mean, you can look at the back. It's a little bit different than your typical running shoes, and there's a couple little nuances that are different with them. But overall, I mean, I like the looks of them. I like the shape of them. But the big question is, you're not here to say, okay, you know, they look okay, they look cool. I will say durability-wise, you know, this is after, you know, a half marathon outside, a couple handful of runs outside, a couple handful of runs on a treadmill. Treadmill usually doesn't tear its shoes, but I do find that carbon-plated shoes, especially when you're making with lighter material, the soles tend to degrade very quickly. So I'm very protective. I don't run in these shoes all the time. I'm not a big fan, you know, of running in carbon plate shoes all the time. If you watch like Lionel Sanders, he kind of switched for a little bit going into carbon plated shoes for all his workouts, and you know, he was seeing increases in speed, but over time your body doesn't have to compensate as much, and you're not working some of the muscle groups and little stabilizer muscles that you typically would in a normal pair of shoes. These do propel you forward in the fact that it feels like you're rolling your foot forward a little bit more ease, and it's kind of forcing you to roll a little bit forward. I wish I could explain it a little bit better. It's not necessarily doesn't make me feel fast, like I can run faster. It does make you feel, if you're running at the same effort, you're rolling a little bit easier, so you're probably a little bit more conservative in your energy transfer to the ground and moving your feet along, because it feels like a little bit more propelling you forward. So in that regard, the carbon plate is kind of good, making you feel like you're kind of propelling along the ground and making you feel faster. But in actuality, for me, it makes me feel more efficient with my energy, and it could probably keep a faster speed that I start with. I don't degrade over time as much as I normally would. There's not a fall off in my pace that I would normally see. There's still fall off, but not as much as I normally would see in my typical pair of running shoes that aren't carbon plate type of running shoes. So with that, the question is, as you can see in the background there, we did the Kansas City running, which is the Rock the Parkway half marathon. We will pull up the activity here, and it's always great entertainment to watch a computer load. So as you can see, we'll slide this over a little bit so you can see my stats here. So I did my half marathon in 1:38. That is not my fastest time. I've done it in 1:25. Specifically this race usually is my PR coming in, and I'm very run focused when it's in April. So I'm out there, and I'm usually trying to get a PR. It's not an easy course. There are some hills. It's not flat. So you got to make sure that you're training for that type of thing. And the other things to keep in mind is your training style. So back in the day when I'm getting PRs, I'm out there, I'm doing threshold runs, I'm doing very specific run training and very hard run training. And as I've matured and as my life has changed, running with dogs has been my go-to. So we are not out there for speed. We are out there not to trip over the dogs, not to get injured, and we're out there to get miles for me and the dogs. And usually it is more of we're running every day for 4 to 5 miles between 2 different dogs. And I've got my long run on the weekends. Very rarely right now have I been out there doing speed work necessarily. So keep in mind, I haven't been doing really threshold runs. I haven't really been doing tempo runs or that type of workout. Just been doing mileage basically, about 30 to 40 miles per week. It's my typical during the winter, during the off season. And not really focused on going out there and killing it. Now later on in the season, doing 70.3 Des Moines, and after that is my validation for Legacy for Ironman World Championships in Kona. And after that, I have a few local triathlons, but this is going to be the first year in a while I haven't done a full Ironman distance race. I am going to sign up for the Kansas City Marathon, and my goal is to take whatever carbon plate shoe that I'm testing out to that race to try to get a Boston qualifying time. You heard it here first. That is my mission. Stay tuned to see how that's going to go. But this off-season, this spring, is what I'm using to test different shoes. So this has been my first test, my Hyperion Elite 3. I am going to keep them around. They are comfortable. They're nice. They're light. But again, the bigger question is, did it get me a PR? And if you're paying attention, no, they did not get me a PR. They got me at 138. But I will say, look at a few things. We don't care about the map. What we do care about is the stats. So you look at my heart rate over time. The beginning, it was a little bit high. Running and dodging a lot of people. There's a lot of stuff going on, trying to get through people. And you always got that little bit of a start at the beginning where your adrenaline's up and that type of thing. But what I want to look at is not the elevation gain, because my watch is off. What I do want to look at is my average pace, 7:28, so that's pretty good. Average heart rate of 149. So usually if I'm out there, if I'm trying to gas myself and I'm at the top end, and in the past, this 138 kind of matches what I did last year. And last year I felt like I had to work really hard. The weather is about the same. Everything is about the same. Difference was, I wasn't running on the carbon plate shoes. I was running in a different pair that was not carbon plate shoes. And I got about the same time. I was probably like 30 seconds off. So probably the same quality of training. Probably the same quality of miles and quantity of miles in my training. But there is a distinct difference in the shoe. But for that race last year, I was probably in the 150s to 160s heart rate. And this year, I'm in the 149 for an average heart rate. It did feel like I did not have to work energy-wise as hard to get that pace. Muscle-wise, I was a little fatigued at the end. My legs were screaming a little bit. But at the end, I was not totally gassed. I was not totally wiped out, which was my goal, was to go there, go out, have a good run, solid showing. But I wasn't out there to set a PR because I know I wasn't going to get a sub 130. Probably wasn't the cards. And luckily with a well-timed restroom break, I didn't make my wave, but I was in a later wave, so I timed that restroom break with the start. It was perfect, worked out great. Didn't have to go to the bathroom until halfway through. Hit the porta potty and I was good to go. So, for all you guys out there, porta potties are our big goal in life before a race and getting that done with. I was able to time that just right. So that wasn't a factor either. It's just the shoes. It's all about the shoes. So, weather-wise, it was perfect. It's a little bit cool, just like it was the year before. It wasn't a problem. So, did my Brooks Hyperion Elite 3 carbon-plated shoes get me a PR? No. Did they make me faster? Yeah, maybe. They made me more efficient. Like I said, I'm getting older. So usually as you get older, your heart rate is going to creep up a little bit higher and higher for these efforts like this for half marathon. But I'm here to say that the heart rate was actually a little bit lower than last year. Same weather conditions, same amount of training for the most part, but the shoes were a little bit different. I do feel less impact. That's why I do the long runs on the carbon plate shoes. As we get more mature, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be more achy, we're going to be more sore. And as you want to keep up the mileage and you don't want to have joint problems, you don't want to have leg problems, you don't have fatigue problems, you're going to have to find ways to be creative about getting mileage in, or you're going to have to reduce your mileage. These have helped me and other carbon-plated shoes that I'm testing now. I'm working with Hoka's, I've got some Asics, I've got some Saucony's, all kinds of other stuff I'm going to go over. But these will help you not only in making you faster, but more efficient and less energy spent to do more miles. like on the treadmill, outdoors, or something like that. So less impact to your body. So that's my takeaway for these. For Brooks Hyperion Elite 3s. No, for me, I'm not an elite runner necessarily. I am somewhat competitive in my age group, but do I feel like they make me faster? Not necessarily. Maybe that's one of my tests in the future once the weather starts cooperating. We get outside, we start doing some mile tests and that type of thing, and get out there and put some effort in it and see if I can hit a sub 6 like I have in the day. But when you're looking at endurance sports, you're looking for efficiency over time, and these definitely help out. Now, are they worth it? Like I said, these were half off when I got them. They've already come out with a version 4, and they're double the price of what I paid for these on Amazon. I was kind of leery because the sizing is unisex. So I ordered a size 12, which is my normal shoe size, and it came out properly. So you got to pay attention. The women out there, if you're ordering size 12, you're going to get a men's size 12. So just make sure you order the right size for you. Overall, yes and no. They make you faster, but I think efficiency is the name of the game when you're at this level. I definitely would not use them for an everyday running shoe because they do make it easier, I think, to go out there and do your mileage. Like I said, right now I'm not doing much like high-end threshold intervals and that type of thing, so maybe as we get into those, I'll bring those out, take them out to the track with me, and run some intervals and that type of thing. But overall, if you've got the funds, you've got the resources to go out and get you a nice pair of carbon-plated shoes, I definitely wouldn't shy away from it, but I would not make them your everyday trainer. I'd break them in, maybe use them for long runs, then use them for races and that type of thing, and then keep them in good shape because the foam does deteriorate pretty quickly, especially in the outdoors. So you got to be a little bit mindful of how often you're using them and what kind of mileage you're putting on them. But overall, like I said, the laces thing was kind of a little bit of an issue. I just could not find the right setup with the shoelaces to get them in there. But once I added the Hickeys, it works great. I love these shoes now. Definitely will leave them in the stable and use them, or they're at least a contender for when I'm doing half Ironman and 70.3 Des Moines, and when I'm looking at the Kansas City Marathon. So if you got any questions, I'm going to put the links to the products in the video. So I'm going to put the links for the Brooks shoes. I'm going to put the links for the Hickeys shoelaces. So if you want to get you a pair and try them out yourself, I definitely would do that and grab them up. And if you make purchases from those links, it helps support the channel so I can go out and test more shoes. So if you want to see me test other shoes, like I said, I got some Hokas going on, and some Sauconys, I got some Asics and all kinds of other shoes going on right now. So if you want me to test another pair of shoes that you're interested in, let me know. And like I said, anything you can do to support the channel, help me get there, definitely appreciate it. So hopefully that helps you out. See you in the next product review, shoe review video. Thanks for watching.